Alright, so I've been working on this program here, and before I walk you guys through it, I want to tell you what my thought process was. Okay, so first off, I want to make a game. It's a little short, quick game that you can play, where you have to guess a number that the program has, I guess, thought of or picked, and on that basis, it wants to tell you when you guess if you're too high or you're too low. And so if you're, that way you can guess again, and then it'll count how many times you guessed so that you can know how good you are, I guess, at guessing, if there's a skill for that. So on the basis of that, here it is. Okay, so it's, 25 lines, and I'm pretty sure it can be optimized from there. But I'll walk you through it, what I've done so far, and then I can look at optimizing it. Alright, so first off you want to display what the point of it is. So you're going to display pick a number between 1 and 100. And then this randint function is picking a random integer. So that's not a number with a decimal, it's just an integer between 1 and 100. And then it's going to store that, whatever it is, as q. And so you can actually make this harder by making bigger numbers, or actually, I'm pretty sure you could, and we can add that in a second, thinking about it. There's a way you can make that harder by adding another part to the integer. Excuse me. Oof. Alright, so you have one store x, and so x is going to be your guessing variable, and so every time you guess wrong, it's going to add a guess to that. And so you're not going to start with 0 guesses because, well, I haven't programmed it like that, but I probably could. And so the initial number of guesses you get are 1, or you have are 1. And so you're going to have our first label, and we'll get to that later, but you're going to have input A. Actually, it's not input, it should be prompt. But I was working a little bit on optimizing this before I started recording, but we'll get to that in a second. So prompt A, so it's going to ask for A, and so you're going to input A. And so that's going to be your guess. And so it has Q, and we have A and we have Q. Those are our two variables. And so it's saying if A is equal to Q, so if your guess is equal to the actual number, then go to E. And so it's going to be saying find label E and go to it. Label E is down here, and then this is going to be the end. So if you get it correct, which is what this is saying, so if you get it correct, then display yay, and then display it took you X, which is the variable, and it's not in quotes because it's a variable, and you want it to display the actual number that the variable is representing, not just a number or not just text or the letter X. You want to display the value of X. And then it's going to say it took you this number of guesses. And then I was talking about the input function, but I'll get to that later. So we can actually optimize this and make it more difficult. And so actually I'm going to work on optimizing it first, and then we'll make it more difficult. So instead of displaying, because we display a text or a question to an extent, and also ask for a variable, and you can actually simplify both of those down by, you guessed it, making this input, and then we have to have the actual question the input's going to be asking for. So it's going to say your guess, it's a Q, guess, whew. And then no, that's comma, oops, dot. Alright, and you have to put the end quote so that it knows that's the end, and then put a comma, and then the actual variable you're going to be storing it as. So we'll make this G so we know it's a guess. And then we'll actually, yeah. And then, let's see, there's probably ways we can optimize this. Pretty sure we can get rid of this, don't really need it. It took you that many guesses. And then if we wanted to, we could add in, if it took you 5 guesses, you're going to say, wow, you're pretty good, or if it took you 20 guesses, wow, you're pretty bad. We can actually add in a menu if we wanted to. At the top saying do you want easy, medium, or hard, and then changing the settings depending on what we want to do that as. So actually, yeah, we'll do it. Menu. Alright, and so it's going to say level of difficulty. We'll probably come back and work on this later, the whole program. And then we're going to have easy, medium, and, oops, not capital M, medium, there we go, and hard. Skirt. Alright, so easy is going to be label 1, and yes, I know we have a label 1 further on, but we'll change that. We'll have this be label 2, and I'll have this be label 3. And you don't have to put a comma after the 3 or add a parenthesis, because the line will automatically finish with whatever it needs to have. If it's another comma and another parenthesis, it'll just add that in when it's reading it. And then here we want to, can I actually want to store, yeah, we'll do this. We'll do this first, and then we can actually run program clear, if I can find it. There we go. And I need to show you that, or link the video actually, because I got that from another YouTuber. So we're going to run, this needs to be run first actually, because then it'll clear everything. It'll clear your home screen, it'll clear, it'll turn off the functions that you have, and actually I have mine so it deletes a lot of the variables so that it just kind of cleans everything up for you. Alright, so you have your level of difficulty, and this will be our level, we'll make this our, change this to 50, and then we'll make our input, your guess, we'll have 1 to 50. There we go. And so we'll make this easy, so this will be label 1, and then we'll just make sure we have to, actually we should change that now. So we'll make that label A, and so we'll say go to A instead of go to 1. Actually should be go to E because we end up easy. But, alright, so this is our easy, and that seems about right. It's not optimized, but it's done. And then I like to add spaces so that I know exactly what the difference is. So this will be label 2, and this will be label 3. And so because this is just pretty much the same thing, we can, there we go, and copy and paste there. So now we have basically 3 easies. So if you choose easy, medium, or hard, it'll just run easy for all of them. But we want to make it a little more difficult. And so we'll make this 100. And then for here, we also need to change the labels, but for here, actually we can just delete that. There we go. For hard, what we want to do is change it to 100, and then on top of that is pick a random, let's see if I can find it again. It should be numbers, right? Because on the, no, not program. Why can't I see it? Statistics, should be statistics. Probability? No. No. There we go. Found it. Random normal. So it should be a normal number. Random binary number. Random integer, no repetition. We could take a random integer, divide it by 10, and then we could take a random integer, two random integers, divide them by each other, and then cut it off so that we just have the decimal, and then add the decimal onto here. That'd be quite a bit of code though. So we'll add that in text-wise, and I'll note that we have to do that. So truncate a number for the error, which we'll just write it, because I know what it's, I believe it's ipart. ipart add to q. And so that will say, we'll take an ipart of some number that'll hopefully be random so that we don't get the same 0.7 every time, and then add that as a possibility, because it's, if we pick 2 random numbers, it means as long as they're, yeah, we could do that. Because what I'm thinking is we can have, as long as you have the ratio, or the number of possibilities between 1 and 100, then you're not going to get 0. And so it'll spit out error if you try and make it divide by 0, or 0 over 50, or something like that. And then there's a chance that if you get like 50 over 50, you'll get 1, and so the f part, or the I part of 1 is 0, and so it'll just add 0 to it. So there's a chance you could get 100 flat as your answer. So you should be able to actually, here is copy this, but we don't really care so much about the f part, which is the, and actually its I part is integer, so its f part is fractional, I believe. and then it's lowercase f and uppercase p, and I'll have to find where it is, but it should be somewhere in here. Random integer will go between 1 and 10, because it's, like I said, we're not going to really care about the whole number part, just the decimal part. And then that'll evaluate to whatever number it is, and then we're going to divide by the same thing. And so it'll take two values, and as long as they're not 0, we should get like 7 divided by 8, or 10 divided by 2. And so we can get 0 a number of ways, and you could probably optimize that or find a way to make it more difficult, but I'm going to leave it as it is because that should give us a decimal. And then we should be able to add this to this, and that's going to bug me, so I'm going to actually do this and then add here, because I like to have big number plus small number, plus it's going to come out as this random integer plus this part of the number. And so then we'll have to say that it can be between 1 and like 100, well, it can be 1 and 1, because there's no way we can get, well, yeah, we'll go with this, 100.9, and then you have to take the f part of the random integer plus that, and that should be able to be stored as q. Now I haven't tested this on my calculator, so I don't know if exactly this will run, but it makes sense to me right now. So too bad I can't run it on here. That's always something I wished I could do, is run it on the computer. I don't think it has the same operating system though. Alright, so we're taking the fractional, well, start from the middle because the middle's easier. So we're taking a random integer between 1 and 10 and dividing it by a random integer between 1 and 10. So that'll give us some, oh, because we don't want the f part, we want the f part of this. There we go. Sorry about that. Okay, so take 1 between, so let's say it's 56. So we have 56 plus the fractional part of whatever the outcome of this is. So let's say it's, for some reason, 5.6, which there's no reason it should be, but let's say it's 5.6. So we'll take the fractional part of that, because if I find f part, I'd have to like look through it, but should be, no, should be the next one. Numeric? Yes. F part value, oh, it doesn't tell me. Pretty sure it's fractional part though. So it'll take the decimal part of the number, so let's say, like I said, let's say this is 5.6. It'll take just the fractional part, so 0.6, and it'll add this random number between whatever that is, let's say 56, 5.6, 56 plus 0.6, which is this whole thing, and so it's 56.6, and that'll be the value here, and then we're storing that as q. So we have our number, our 56.6. And so say label A, and so the one thing you do have to watch out for is if you have multiple labels that are labeled the same thing, it will throw off your program. And so if I say go to A down here, or go to, well actually E doesn't matter because there's only one E, we can actually delete this out of all of these and leave just this one, because it's all going to be going to the same thing. And if you have multiple labels A, they'll all go to 1, only 1. They won't go to the one you're referring to. So like I said, it's the program doesn't know what you're talking about. It only knows how to follow specific explicit instructions. I heard an interesting story from a friend of mine. Story time. I'll be quick. The teacher would ask the students to give her just instructions on how to do something, and she'd follow the instructions literally, and she'd intentionally misinterpret them if there was any room to misinterpret them. And so you have to be very, very specific and very, very explicit. And if there's any room for error, chances are the program's going to make that error. And so you have to be very careful. So storing variables as these values is fine, as long as you only have the same. So we'll make this A for easy. We'll make this B for medium, and we'll make this C for hard. And then I'll put it on my calculator, and I'll tell you guys how it went next time. Let me change these real quick. I think this is pretty optimized. Input your guess. There's probably some mistake that I've made, but I'll run through it next time. That being said, you guys have a nice day or nice night or nice morning or whatever. And if you have any questions, see you next time.